All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Richard Lodge. I'm the editor of the Daily News of Newburyport. And I must say this is my first Zoom forum for candidates. And it might be your first one too, I don't know. It's a different format. I've had the pleasure of being at the Newbury Public Library a few times for forums, but this one is different, where we're in our own homes, our own workplaces, whatever. We'll try to make it work. Glad, I think most people could join us tonight. This is a forum for the Newbury Selectmen's candidates. We had 4 candidates accept the invitation. J.R. Colby, Damon Jesperson, Geraldine Heavey, and Jack Rybecki. Charles Chuck Bear had to decline because he had a scheduling conflict. So we'll have 4 candidates tonight. First, I want to give a shout out to Susan Noyes, the IT director for the town of Newbury, who's helping us out with the technical aspects of this, and she's also serving as the timekeeper tonight. So she has the mute button under her thumb, so to speak. But I appreciate the help. And also Ethan Cohen, who's a production and operations specialist for the town of Newbury. He's handling the live streaming of this program, and it's on tnctv.org and the live broadcast on Comcast Newbury Channel 9. And it will be repeated on the cable channel at some point. I know that's up to Ethan to do that. So again, welcome everybody. The format tonight is I'm going to introduce the candidates. Each of them will get a 2-minute opening statement, and then we'll go right to questions. And we'll ask the questions in alphabetical order. And also the openings will be in alphabetical order. And then at the end, the candidates will each get a 2-minute closing, and that will be reverse alphabetical order. So you'll be able to follow along with me, I think. So each person gets a 2-minute response time for a question. And as we get near the end of this forum, I'm going to choose a person and a candidate, and that candidate will get to ask a question of any of the other candidates. The person who's asked the question gets 2 minutes to respond, no rebuttals. We move on to the next person who asks a question of any candidate. And they will, then after that, we'll have closing remarks. So I'd like to, as I said, the candidates, I'm not sure J.R. Colby is on with us yet. He may be having some technical problems, but we do have Jerry Heavey, Damon Jesperson, and Jack Rybecki. So I'm going to go ahead and start with these folks again in alphabetical order. And since J.R. Colby's not here yet.
He's actually joining us now, it looks like, if he's just connecting to audio. So I don't know if you want to, oh, where we go.
I think we can give him a few seconds to connect.
And it looks like Jerry is here, Jack is here, and Damon is here. So everybody else is here.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I got stuck at work. I'm remote, so hopefully it's not too glitchy.
No worries.
Good. It should work out. The amazing technology here. So, like I said, we're going to start with a 2-minute openings, and we're going in alphabetical order. So, J.R. Colby, you get the first 2-minute opening remark.
Okay, thanks for hosting this forum tonight, Mr. Lodge. My name is J.R. Colby. I am running for my 3rd term on the Board of Selectmen. I'm 39 years old. Let's see if I can get my camera right here. I'm 39 years old, lifetime resident. I have a 12-year-old son in the school system. I've really enjoyed the job. It's had its tough moments. I know when I was new, you know, Chuck Bear told me you could have a real good stomach to do the job, and he was absolutely right. It's tough to hold people accountable when you have to, especially if you like them. I believe in a fair meeting. We're not just the loudest voices in the room scream and get their way. I like to follow Robert's Rules of Order, parliamentary procedure. everything I learned about equality in life, I learned from my father. Women, people from other places in the world, no different intellectually than you are. I've always followed that advice from him. It's been great advice. I've worked outdoors my whole life. I feel like I have a good grip on the ecosystem in Newbury, some of the issues that potentially face it. I've gained a lot of knowledge in it, not just on my own. Town hall staff, Tracy Blaze, Eileen DeVoe, Ellen Jameson, all super people to work with. I can't say enough about our town hall staff. My fellow board members, we get in difficult situations, sometimes emotionally charged situations, and we manage to come through it. And I think for the most part, we make good decisions together. So again, thanks for having me. I do the job like I would like to have the job done for me, with integrity, honesty, accountability, making sure no one's rewarding themselves, but also at the same time not looking for problems, not looking to drag skeletons out of the closet. The way I look at local government is, we're going to do it right from here on.
Okay, thank you. One thing I forgot to mention before is Susan, as the timekeeper, has a pretty close to a hard stop thing on the 2 minutes. So when you get right up to time's up, she's going to hold up a sign that says time's up. So you'll wrap it up at that point. Also, I would point out that you get 2 minutes to answer a question, but you don't have to take the full 2 minutes. If you don't, 1-word answer or 1 minute answer, that's fine. It gives us time to ask more questions, and I will stop talking. So for the next 2 minute opening remarks, Jerry Heavey. And do we have her with some sound?
You need to unmute yourself, Jerry. Jerry, can you hear us? You have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Good evening. I'm Geraldine Heavey, and I'm running for the Board of Selectmen in Newbury. The time for petty bickering, disrespect, and divisiveness is over. We've real challenges before us, and it's long past time we pull together and get to work. I come with no agenda beyond securing safety, prosperity, and long-term success for our community. I'll focus solely on leveraging my experience, energy, and total commitment to represent the best interest of Newbury residents. The coronavirus, while frightening and tragic, is an opportunity for the board to step back and examine our priorities and how we can best use our resources and come together as a community. Soon, there will be a new normal in Newbury and for every citizen. In this new normal, we need to think outside the box to help the parents who have lost their jobs or had their hours cut. Now, they have to decide whether to pay their property taxes or to repair their car. Or the Triton students who have to use outdated and broken video equipment when the town is sitting on cable TV money enough to build 5 studios. Or the seniors who need a HIPAA-compliant senior center. The board will have a lot of hard decisions to make in the next 3 years in order to deal with these issues, but I'm hopeful for our future and up for the job. I want to thank the Newbury newspaper for hosting this debate, and I want to thank the folks who have been helpful to me in my campaign and been very supportive. Finally, I ask the viewers for one of your 2 votes to sow the seeds of respect, transparency, and dignity. Please check me out by going online to jerryfornewbury.org. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Heavey. And now 2 minute openings from Damon Jesperson. So Damon,
Thank you,
there you go. Okay.
Richard Lodge, for hosting this and everyone for attending. It's been an honor to serve as a selectman for the last 6 years, and I hope that you will continue to ask me to serve for another 3 years. During my time as a selectman, we've had a lot of very difficult decisions, but we've created a lot of good things, including joining the green communities, a sound financial policy, as well as practical things like switching over to LED lights on the street lamps and turning them back on, signing a contract to put solar on the landfill, and work and repairs on our roads. In addition to these gains, we have a lot of challenges ahead of us, and I think it's very important to keep the leadership team that we have in place as we make a number of transitions. A number of key staff members will be retiring in the coming years, and I think it is very important that we have consistency in the leadership of the town as those transitions take place. It's also important to finish the town hall in the coming years, as well as the Council on Aging. I also hope to continue my work on the 40B housing projects that need to come, or the developing affordable housing in town, so that the 40B mandate of the state doesn't come down on us again like it did in Pearson Drive twice now. So as we move forward, there are a number of goals that are facing us, and I hope to continue to serve the town in my capacity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jesperson. And now 2-minute openings from Jack Rybecki. All right, do we have Jack on?
There you
Thanks,
go.
Sue. I got it.
All right.
Right? Thank you. I'd like to thank every citizen here tonight for taking the time to participate and watch. I think every vote's important, particularly a selectman's votes. My name is Jack Rybecki, and I'm a citizen's advocate. I listen, I'm a man of my word, and I'm a meat on the bones guy who comes prepared to meetings. My wife, Michelle, is an elementary school teacher in Newburyport, and I moved to Newbury here over 25 years ago. We raised our 3 children here, and our family has participated in Stacy Fix's theater programs, Triton Boys and Girls athletic programs of every athletic flavor, as well as our local Boy and Girl Scout units. We have volunteered in classrooms and as our local, in various local capacities for all organized activities with great joy, while being so blessed to meet the greatest neighbors here in this town, in a community that everyone should wish to be in. I have volunteered for the Council of Aging, delivering Meals on Wheels, and I've served as a helper to the Triton Athletic Director in his search, and I've also served on the Newbury Rec Committee. If I'm elected, I promise there will not be a harder working advocate for citizen benefiting decision-making. If I'm elected, I promise every citizen that your concern will be a selectman's concern, that I will lend a genuine ear to your citizens' interests, and that I will maintain real pursuit of proposed applications, and that I will conduct fair discourse over such pursuits in the interests of every citizen. When you call, I'll answer. With your active support, I will always promote open analysis while sharing content and current input on operations and issues facing every Newbury taxpayer. Citizens, we by mutually achieved decisions will proudly build, brick by brick, a Newbury town respectful of the present, planning for the future, and very protective of our past. I'm asking for your vote because I believe I'm your man. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, that's the end of the openings. We're going to start, as I said, in alphabetical order. And so I'll ask the first question to J.R. Colby. Everybody gets to answer it, and then I move down the line. So Geraldine Heavey will get the next question, et cetera, et cetera. So to J.R. Colby, my question is a little complicated, but will the pandemic permanently change anything in town government or the roles that the selectmen play?
I don't think so. I'm hoping this pandemic's much like the Spanish flu of 1918. It's a period of time we're all going to have to get through together. We have proper safeguards in place in Town Hall for our employees. We're working on phasing public access back in. I'm hoping that most of these measures are temporary. Personally, I don't like the Zoom platform of meeting. I prefer to do things eye to eye in the room. So I don't think any lasting measures as far as the town goes with COVID-19, you know, as far as we can see down the lens right now, be in the next year or two until there's some definitive answers on vaccines, testing, how long you carry it, if you can carry it after infection, so on and so forth. So in a nutshell, my hope is once we get through COVID-19, we can go right back to our normal meetings in person in the meeting room, just like we always did. And it's a town tradition.
Okay, thank you very much. Same question to Geraldine Heavey.
I would, could you enlarge my picture, please, Susan? I'd really appreciate that. Thank you. I'm just a tiny little head, so if you could make me big, that would be great. Are you okay?
I think some of that is you need to move closer to
Okay,
the.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Absolutely, I think the COVID-19 is really going to impact us and every single community in Massachusetts. The revenues from the state are down by 53%. That means our mandates to the school system, while they mandate a lot of programs, they're not going to be paying for it, and we're going to have a harder time. Unfortunately, I would love to be able to meet the voters, but because of this virus, I haven't been able to campaign. And it's also taught us the importance of technology. For instance, doing this Zoom meeting. But for this technology, we wouldn't even be able to do this. So I think it is going to affect us. It's going to affect us greatly. I think some other communities are talking about laying off people. I think one of the things we should perhaps reconsider is what we want to do with town hall, because what's the point in building a Taj Mahal if we have no employees? It doesn't make sense to me. So I think all of these things, that's why I said in my opening, we need to take a step back and think about where we're going, what our priorities are, and how much money we have to spend.
Thank you very much. Same question, will the pandemic permanently change anything in town government or the way the selectmen do business? Damon Jesperson?
I think that the selectmen will continue to function much as they always have, as a voice for the residents and as a sounding board for ideas. As far as how things will change, I think it keeps us on our toes about open meeting law. We will have to be very careful with the budget going forward because revenues may change drastically. And I think the other factor that will continue with us is the awareness of public safety and the ability to transmit disease. So I think our first responders are going to be affected in the longest term because they're the people who are always on the front lines in facing these issues, and our need to support them will not diminish when this has receded from being a full-blown pandemic. We'll always have to keep their safety at the forefront and provide them the materials that they need to stay healthy and to serve our community. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And the same question to Jack Rebecki. 2 minutes.
How are we doing?
There you go.
I believe as a community, we will follow and continue to follow state guidelines and the mandates as presented down to us, as well as the notion of common sense by all of us and every citizen in our own interactions on all accounts. In fact, budgets will be absolutely impacted. They're impacted down. Revenues will be down. And I think it's incumbent on the selectmen now to have sent back every budget that was presented prior to this COVID health issue to seek out summary cuts in anticipation of looming reduction in not only our own revenues, but also coming state reductions. And it'll be, as it always is, it'll be incumbent on us as citizens to express concerns and guide the selectmen towards a proper expenditures in these tighter times. But I'm sure we're a hardy stock, and we'll pull this and we'll pull through this healthily, people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next question goes to Geraldine Heavey. What do you see as the greatest obstacle to solving Newbury's capital needs, and how would you overcome that obstacle?
Well, granted, I haven't been on the board, so I don't really have a handle on the fiscal situation, although I'm told that Tracy does a wonderful job. But I will say that I would be able to, when I am on the board, be able to, based upon my training and my education, get a handle on the finances. It's very difficult to get information from the town. The day that the 10-year contract from the cable TV was being signed, I went up to town hall and asked for a copy. I was told, no, you can't get a copy. So I think that's one of the areas I'd like to work on, would be some transparency. What's the big secret?
Okay, thank you very much. Same question to Damon Jesperson. What do you see as the greatest obstacle to solving Newbury's capital needs, and how would you overcome that obstacle?
I think in some ways the largest obstacle to our capital needs is the Proposition 2.5, which limits the town's ability to raise revenues to often below the cost of inflation. We have done an incredible job with our financial planning over the last few years, and I think that is essentially our only way to work around the issues that Prop 2.5 creates for towns of our size. Without a dramatic increase in business revenue, we will always be falling behind, especially as the state cuts funding to schools. And so doing things like planning ahead for long-term projects using the capital planning will always make us a stronger community. Right now we have funds in a town hall account that we know we will need to spend in the coming years. And so by planning ahead, we are able to overcome our financial limitations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Same question to Jack Rybicki. Jack, you get 2 minutes.
How are we doing? Good?
Yep.
Okay. I believe over the last 4 years, this administration has spent stupendously on capital improvements, from fire engines and ambulances to asphalt, and in fact, the police station. I think we have very few capital needs beyond decisions going forward with the citizens based on what we'll do with town hall. I think these are times to concentrate on citizen needs. This is the time where we can take advantage within and look to develop Central Street, for example, as a destination place for every citizen in town. Damon's notion that Proposition 2.5 limits his ability to properly administer our tax obligations to this town, I believe, is false. I believe Proposition 2.5 brings them back to the drawing table a lot. The reason Newbury has a lowest tax rate in the area is because of we citizens voting down overrides and sending them back to the table to revisit Proposition 2.5. And as we sit here today, Newbury, I think we're in fine shape, and the result should be a pat on the back to us for making our BOS and finance committee and master planners and capital investments go back to the table in our best interest and not look to get back into our pockets. I don't get a 2.5% raise every year. He shouldn't be assuming that I can afford a 2.5% raise or more to him every year or to the town. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. J.R. Colby, the same question. What do you see as the greatest obstacle to solving Newbury's capital needs?
I think our greatest obstacle to solving our capital needs, much of them have been accomplished, but what I've seen is the need for compromise plans. Just like we found on the police station, it took a couple tries. We found a compromise budget, a compromise plan as the project went along. It passed at town meeting as we went along. I found the need to blow up the building committee and downsize it to streamline things, and it's been very effective. And I took a lot of grief in the office for that at first. A lot of people had hurt feelings when I blew that building committee up, and it was difficult. But in retrospect, all of the people came to me and said it was the right thing to do at the right time, because we moved forward with the downsize streamline committee of resident experts in the construction field, and that worked for us. I just want to mention Jack Rybicki doesn't like new fire engines, new ambulances, improvements to our buildings. The reason things are okay now is because we have instilled replacement plans. When vehicles have reached the end of their useful life, we trade them in while they're still worth something. What happened in the old days is you run it till the wheels fall off, then you didn't know what to do, and then you go before the people for an emergency override because you don't have a fire truck or an ambulance. That is absolutely no good. The reason our finances and our infrastructure is in good shape now is because we are on scheduled maintenance plans. We're on scheduled replacement plans with our vehicles and equipment, and we're reaping the dividends now. And to return to the old habit of only doing something when it's an absolute emergency and not knowing where you're going to come up with the funds is a terrible idea. Our financial policies, regardless of who moves on in this election and sits at that seat, need to stay in place, because they are the reason that Newbury is enjoying the financial health it has. And I'm also proud to say that this year's budget represents a 1.6% increase, far below Proposition 2.5. And I am very, very proud of all the hard work of the board.
Okay. Sorry to cut you off there, but we hit the time limit. So the next question goes to Damon Jesperson. Should the town fund a seasonal public bathroom at 31 Plum Island Boulevard? And if not, do you support the citizens petition on the town meeting warrant to sell the building?
I do not support the citizens petition to sell the building. I think it is a valuable investment for the town because it also is attached to the parking lot there, which could in the future generate revenue for the town. I do support a permanent solution to the bathroom problem, and I'm open to suggestions from the citizens for other solutions. But at this time, nothing has been presented that would be a better solution than what we have. And given the fact that we now have a member of the DPW staff who has his general contracting license, we can complete that bathroom, should we choose to do so, for considerably less than the estimate we had moved forward with. We have some funding from the state, and with, again, managed long-term planning, we should be able to bring in that bathroom at much less than we had anticipated in the past. So I think it is, well, not a perfect solution. It is a good solution, although I'm open to hearing other solutions by the residents as we move forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Same question to Jack Rybicki. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'm proud of the fact we stand where we are capitally. I don't believe JR should have interpreted that the way he did, but that's for another time. As far as the bathroom goes, we voted down the $200,000 last year that they wanted to use to build a bathroom for essentially a lot of tourists and an occasion citizens. They're back at the drawing board once again because citizens sent them there. The fact they want to hang their hats on the fact that they're now looking inward for a more equitable and less intrusive fiscally solution should be once again a pat on the back to citizens and not necessarily a pat on the back to the BOS. If they had their way, we would be $200,000 into this project and not looking at the highway department's general contracting capacities to finish this project as they have proposed with highway department monies in conjunction with a $40,000 grant. That wasn't under consideration last year by the BOS. The citizens brought them to that table. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Same question goes to JR Colby.
For many years, we had requests from residents and business owners on Plum Island for permanent bathrooms. The porta potties would get defaced, they'd get vandalized. And the real thing is, it's not to attract tourists. We're a beach community. There's nothing we can change about that. The town accepted state funds in the past to nourish the beach. So that means we cannot shut that beach off as private. We are going to have visitors. And the real problem there was people, when there's nowhere to go that isn't disgusting, people relieve themselves behind people's homes, between people's homes, on the beach. The same with the dogs. Once we brought duty calls in, that helped a lot. Some policing. I spent many hours picking colorful bags of dog waste off of the beach myself in my first couple of years as selectman until we got that under control, just because I couldn't stand the complaints about it. And it's disgusting. It's a bathroom on Plum Island. It's a necessity because, like I said, if there's nowhere to go, people are going to find a place, and it's not a pleasant thing to talk about, but it's reality. And when you step in something nasty down there, it's not good. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much. Same question about should the town fund a seasonal public bathroom at 31 Plum Island Boulevard? A question to Geraldine Hebe.
Okay, well, you are on.
Wait for your picture to come
My pic-
Geraldine Hebe?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Could my picture come up? My picture's not up,
your picture's up when you talk. It should be, sure.
but
Yeah.
it's very small.
Well, again, I think you need to get closer to the camera on your computer.
No, it's about 3 inches by 2 inches, and everybody else is much larger.
I don't know what to say to you.
Could Susan Noyes correct the problem?
No, I cannot. It is your camera.
No,
Everybody's got the same size.
no, it isn't my camera.
Do you want to, your clock is going if you'd like to answer the question.
Well, no, I'm not in favor of using that building on Plum Island. The town paid $300,000 for that building. We did not buy the parking area. We're going to spend more money if they think that we're going to get that parking area. We need toilets, definitely. The problem is that I believe that there's flooding down there. In this past spring, I saw on a number of occasions that there was a lot of sand that was washed down, and it's also a very dangerous corner for crossing the street. But yes, we do need a toilet, but we need to have a toilet. And there was an alternative that was presented, and that was a portable toilet that would be in a trailer. I've used them at weddings. They're absolutely lovely. We're not talking about porta potties. We're talking about very nice 5-star facilities.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go to the next question. This goes first to Jack Rybicki. Should there be time for public comment as a regular part of selectmen's meetings, whether they're online or in person?
Thank you for that. I believe unequivocally that for 345 years, the town of Newbury has ended BOS meetings with citizens' concerns related to the agenda presented that night. If questions were brought up that weren't related to the agenda that night, they would be pushed to the next agenda and addressed. JR is assets of strength and fairness should be exemplified in his abilities to moderate a BOS meeting with citizen input. The fact that we don't have citizen input on a bi-weekly basis in some manner, when we have at our only time all 5 selectmen in a room at the same time, is the only time we can present a concern in front of each of them for an equal presentation. The notion that Damon will host a coffee 9 o'clock Saturday morning and you can follow it up with him in 5 months after the other 4 selectmen have taken their 1-hour coffee term isn't fair to the citizens. we should have the opportunity every 2 weeks at the conclusion of a meeting that's properly moderated by the respectful citizens of Newbury in order to express any and all concerns pertaining to the agendas at hand. And that goes for the citizens' petitions, which last night were brought into question at annual town meetings. The fact that they would seek to quell citizen petitions via review ahead of put on article warrant is also a surprise if anyone participated or anyone watched last night's BOS FinCom meeting. I say citizens' concerns and citizens' input is what drives Newbury, and to not listen is criminal. Thank you.
Okay, same question goes to J.R. Colby. All right, J.R.
Citizens' concerns should be heard, and they should be heard properly. Any citizen can ask to be put on the agenda. All 5 selectmen's emails are open. Anyone can call the main office. Contacting all 5 of us at once is as easy as CCing all of us on an email. It's very simple. Selectmen's meetings are a meeting of the Board of Selectmen, and selectmen aren't sitting there to be shouted down by 4 or 5 people on a repeated basis. Selectmen are there to listen to public input and to lead. I don't need someone in there every minute to text me while I'm in a meeting or tell me what to do. I can listen to citizen input, and I can also lead, because there are times for both. People elect the selectmen to lead. Selectmen's meetings are a meeting of the Board of Selectmen. There are many ways to reach the selectmen, and I encourage it. People stop by my place all the time, and anyone that wants to be on the agenda gets on the agenda. I can't remember ever refusing anything on the agenda. I might have delayed it and asked the people to come back with more information, be it a selectman or a citizen, but I've never kept anybody off the agenda. And that's parliamentary procedure and Robert's rules. It's the way it should be done. It makes for a better, cleaner product for the people.
Okay, thank you. Same question. Should time for public comment be a regular part of selectmen's meetings? Geraldine Heavey?
It definitely should. Could you unmute me, please?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
It definitely should. When I was on the Board of Aldermen in Melrose, we had 5 minutes at the beginning of the session, and anyone could speak for 5 minutes on any of the items on the agenda. It's time the Board of Selectmen put on their big boy pants and allow the people to talk and express their concerns. Getting on the agenda, I mean, really, that's kind of, it's kind of a long way to go. And also, calling up and talking to the 5 board, the 5 of them, and that's an open meeting violation. Let the people speak. They need to vent. They paid for the microphone, as Ronald Reagan would say, by their tax dollars, and they have the right to address their issues, and it's wrong not to. It's absolutely un-American, I think.
Okay, thank you very much. Same question finally to Damon Jesperson.
I believe that public comment is a useful and vital part of our meetings. I think recently it has been abused by a number of residents to try and force us to engage in things that in comments and conversations that are not pressing at that time and have not been posted on the agenda. I think that is why the chairman has decided to stop public comment while we were working with this new technology. I look forward to getting back to public comment, and I believe that what needs to be clarified is that the public comment is not the opening of a discussion or a debate with the selectmen. It is an information gathering technique. And I think we, in our desire in the past to be open to public comment and to communicate with people, have bordered on violating the open meeting law by engaging in conversations during the public comment section of meetings. And we were counseled not to do that, which is part of the reason for what has occurred at this time. I also just want to bring up a point of information regarding the bathrooms. The vote to purchase the property was 273 to 90 and won by 183 votes. The vote not to fund was 115 to 124 votes. So 9-vote difference. There's a much bigger divide between those who wanted to see a permanent solution and those who knee-jerk reacted to the price and the police annex that was included in there. So I think as we move forward, there's a lot more to consider than just one vote that was defeated by 9 rather than the 183 win that it took to buy the property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question, we start with J.R. Colby. What steps do you think the town can take to address the need for affordable housing? Excuse me, and how would you propose attracting more friendly Chapter 40B projects?
I don't believe you need to attract the 40B projects. The developers are hungry for places to do this. They are on the hunt. During the 40B proposal on Pearson Drive, which I objected to, I spoke with Mr. Bisbee from Mass Housing, and I asked him, I said, how can we make it so we have more friendly 40Bs that are more in character with the town? And he said one thing that some communities do, a unit is a unit, whether it's a half a house, a whole house, or an apartment. So the quickest way for Newbury to meet its 40B quota would be to have an apartment, a 40B apartment complex somewhere. I know not everyone would like the sounds of that, but the thing you need to keep in mind in Newbury, low income, is people like me, the pickup truck crowd, farmers, carpenters, masons, people that work with their hands. It's, you know, I think people, you know, they think about unsavory folks moving in, and in Newbury it wouldn't be the case because a Newbury affordable housing unit's still about $300,000. So I look at it as a positive for the town. Our quickest way to meet the quota and have more friendly bees, more leverage to steer these things would be with an apartment building, because according to Mr. Bisbee from Mass Housing, a unit is a unit, whether it's a house, a half a house, or an apartment. So, and I think the developers will find us.
Okay, thank you very much. Same question to Geraldine Heavey.
I have to say, it's affordable housing. It's affordable housing, and it's to people who have grown up in the town who need to get this affordable housing. The contractors, they are required by law to set aside so many. If they don't, then they're going to run afoul of the state regulation. So I think the affordable housing issue is a very live issue. I think, for instance, last night there was discussion on the Selectmen's meeting about a energy law, which I watched, and it's going to be it's questionable whether or not it will in fact be passed at the town annual town meeting. So we will see. We will see.
Okay, thank you very much. Same question to Damon Jesperson.
So I've spent a considerable amount of time working with the town planner and the head of the planning board to look for locations where we could develop affordable housing in town. What's happened at the end of Pearson Drive is a travesty, and I really hope to avoid things like that occurring in the future. JR is right that the easiest solution, if we could, would be to site and build a rental unit that is deeded to stay affordable. We've also been working with the Merrimack Valley Planning Board and Habitat for Humanity. One of my hopes is to start some projects with Habitat in conjunction with our schools so that each town students build an affordable housing unit in each town on a rotating basis every year. That's not something that we can do this year, clearly, given COVID. But I hope that in the coming years, our town will embrace affordable housing and be able to create things that both support our local residents and get us out from under the thumb of the 40B developments that are in the style of the one at Pearson's Drive, which is not appropriate to the town and does not serve the community well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And the same question to Jack Rybicki. You have 2 minutes.
Howdy. Yep, gotcha, Richard. Private property rights are a difficult proposition under every circumstance, whether it's trying to manage old historical homes for sale, or whether developers come to town to put 40B or regular developments in. The note, $300,000 is affordable housing in Newbury doesn't mean that the riffraff is moving in. It means that, as Jerry mentioned, that we may have homes affordable for our children, because, as you know, the residential home in Newbury is very expensive. The notion that you can herd them into a apartment complex and satisfy the 10% requirement in the town, because the 40B law requires 10% of the housing stock available in any town to be of affordable housing nature. I don't know at this time off my top of my head what that number would require, but I can assure you it would be several apartment houses. And the notion of herding it into a particular part of town bothers me on a number of levels. I don't know what we can do as a town besides what Damon has suggested. Work with the organizations who understand the issues the most, and work for what's the best solution for the people involved when these situations come up, when these land pieces come up and developers want to come in. I don't know what restrictions we can put in, but we can certainly look out for our own best interests. And I'm sure there are many citizens available to us who, if they were allowed to speak at the proper time, would probably offer many good points of view that are worthy of listening to. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. I'm hoping I'm not losing track of the order of things. I'm going to try to get a couple more questions in, and then I'm going to turn it over to you folks. But I'm going to give you 1 minute to answer this next question. Just 1 minute, okay? Question starts with Geraldine Heavey. Should the position of town clerk be appointed or elected?
It should most definitely be elected. The town clerk needs to be independent. The town clerk is in charge of the election. If it were appointed, it would be appointed by, I would assume, the TA, who is under the control by the selectmen. The selectmen run for election. In fact, there are two. We're sitting here because of it. So it's a very bad, dangerous idea to have the town clerk to be appointed by anyone. It should be free and open because she's in charge of the elections, and that's very, very important. If it weren't important, I wouldn't be here.
Okay, thank you very much. So 1 minute, Damon Jesperson, should the position of town clerk be appointed or elected?
I don't see a great value in either position. We have maintained the elected position for years, and I'm perfectly happy for that to continue. The town clerk has a lot of duties, and so there is a slight concern on my part that we could elect someone who is unable to complete the tasks, given the complexity of the town clerk's job. That said, that can happen in any elected position, and so I'm happy for it to continue the way it has. Our town clerk has asked that we continue it that way, and that is what we are continuing to do. It is understandable why some people feel differently, but I'm happy to continue with our tradition and continue to see this position filled by election. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Jack Rybicki, the same question for you. 1 minute.
Thank you. I think it's incumbent to keep this position an elected position. The town clerk is one of the faces of the town regarding any issue any citizen has. It's your first call under every circumstance. I think an elected town citizen best suits the position, for they're aware of what the needs are. And I too believe that we all grow into our positions. And I know that we Newbury citizens are a smart lot, a capable lot, and infinitely capable of learning all that Leslie would, I'm sure, be willing to share, as well as the assistant who helps her along. So the transition wouldn't be an issue under any elected position. The idea of another appointment position by the town is not in the best interest of the voting public. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And finally, J.R. Colby, the same question to you. 1 minute.
In conversations with Leslie Haley, our town clerk, the position of town clerk has become very legally and logistically complicated. It's an important job, and it's a job that someone who is underqualified, even if well-intentioned, could get themselves in a lot of trouble in a hurry. I support Leslie Haley's idea that the position should be appointed with a residency requirement, unless no residents come forward that are qualified to perform the position. It's over the years, the position of clerk with our electronic voting systems, state laws, our bylaws becoming more complicated, running town meeting. There's a lot to it, and I agree with Jack. I think there are plenty of people bright enough in our town to do it, but we have to make sure the right person is selected, not just for the town's safety, but for their own, because it has become a very, very complex position in the world.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we're going to move to the point where each of you gets to ask one question to one other candidate, and they answer it, and then we move on to the next person to ask whatever question they want. So we start alphabetically with J.R. Colby. Going to ask a question, and that person gets 2 minutes to answer.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question to Damon Jesperson. We've been through a lot. You've been in a year longer than me. You 6, me 5. We've been through a lot over the last 5 years. What do you think of me as a person and a leader?
As a person, I have a great deal of respect for you. I think you're one of the hardest working people I know. There have been some rough edges in your leadership over the past few years, and it's been something that I think you've grown into in the last 2 years, and something that you continue to, we all develop as we continue to work. So as a selectman, you've done a fantastic job. We've often disagreed about how to move things forward. And while the debates between us can be quite pointed and challenging, as soon as the debate is over, you've been able to move on to the next issue. And so I think you exemplify what it is to have a moral and ethical position and lead the town well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I was actually giving him 2 minutes, Susan, but that was a 1 minute warning, right? So we'll just stick with 1 minute. So I like that idea. So the next opportunity to ask a question to anyone, and that person will get 1 minute to answer. That goes to Geraldine Heavey.
Okay, this is for Mr. Colby. In your profile in the newspaper, you said you should be voted in because you are, and I quote, "Your toughness shines through when the going gets tough. I'm hard but fair," end quote. Why do you think you have to be such a tough guy? And can't you disagree without being disagreeable?
Mr. Colby, you have 1 minute.
Okay, I never feel like I need to be a tough guy. Holding people accountable when they do something wrong can be confused with being mean, especially if someone likes the person that's in the hot seat. It's not about being nasty. It's not about being a tough guy. It's about listening and leading. A selectman needs to be able to do both. And I'm going to go back to my opening comments. One thing Chuck told me years ago, it takes a strong stomach to do this job. So you need people that are tough so they don't just fold over to the pressure when people push you to let someone off the hook. It's the job should be done by the book, and that's the way I try to do it. I don't try to come off as somebody that everyone's going to want to have a few beers with or hang out with, but I try to do the job by the book, by the letter, the way it's supposed to be done, because that's just who I am. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, Damon Jesperson, you get to ask a question to anyone on the panel.
Jerry Heavey, during your campaign, it's been important to you to stress civility, but you support Mr. Doyle, who has shown himself to be quite uncivil at many meetings and to the staff of Town Hall, bringing himself forward for ethics violations on 5 different counts. How can you continue to support Mike Doyle and claim that you're for civility when he represents that very poorly for the town?
Well, therein lies the rub. We need to address each other respectfully and civilly. And calling him this, what you've just said, shows that you really don't believe in civility. And it's extremely important, and I'm friendly with lots of people. I know a great many people, including my garden club ladies and friends, and I like Mike. I think his heart is in the right place. And I do believe we can be civil if we listen to each other. And some of his issues is the fact that the Board of Selectmen, when the person doesn't agree with them, they try to silence them. And they don't give him his information, and they try to mute him. And it's very frustrating for him. I like Mike. I think he's a good guy. His heart's in the right place. And I can be civil to him, and I can be civil even to you.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Finally, Jack Rybicki, you get to ask a question of anyone on the panel.
I'll direct this to JR. Over the last 6 months, on numerous occasions, and even tonight, Damon used the term, and you have called out that 4 or 5 people are yelling at you at BOS meetings despite your strong moderating skills. You've cited a small group of certain citizens as undermining our town's well-being, which you have both used to limit public interaction. It culminated last night in your moving citizens' petitions at the ATM meeting to the forefront so that you assured yourself you could get a proper audience because of your apparent fear over this unnamed group. I'm asking you now because for the past 4 or 6 months, both you and Damon have been citing this unnamed group as a nefarious group undermining the well-being of your leadership. And in the name of the safety of all citizens, I think you should tell us who is driving
There's
your
a question in here, correct? Can you get to the question, please?
Yeah. Hey, could you tell us what group this is that all citizens should be worried of that are interfering with your leadership that are resulting in the subjugation of all citizen input?
Okay, Mr. Colby, 1 minute.
I want to refresh Jack's memory. At the meeting last night, I was the only selectman that opposed moving the citizens' petitions to the front. I told everyone to hold off. I thought it was a knee-jerk reaction that we should think about for at least a month, but the majority of the board wanted to go through with it. I voted no, so Jack has a short memory. As far as a group of citizens, I'm not here to name names or drag people through the mud. I'm all about moving on together the right way. Basically, it comes down to demeanor in a meeting. Again, I believe in parliamentary procedure. I believe in Robert's rules. I think everyone should speak when they're recognized. Everyone should be recognized. Everyone should wait their turn. No one should be interrupted. That's what makes for an orderly meeting and it makes for a good product for the people.
Okay, thank you. That's the end of the questions there. Now we're going to go to the closing comments. Each of you gets 2 minutes. It's going to be a hard stop at 2 minutes, all right? I know you'll all keep it very civil. So we start first in reverse alphabetical order. So Jack Rybicki, you get 2 minute closing comments.
Thank you. Once again, thank you, every citizen, for coming and spending your time listening. I hope it's enlightening in some manner. Town leaders are expressing to citizens that they seem to be, he claims parliamentary procedure is preventing our participation. I disagree. The best interests and guides of any town are always citizen input of citizens' concerns. I dispute the fact that citizens can call and be heard on a moment's notice as he's presented. For 245 years, it's been the citizens' purview to be able to ask questions, and it's been your obligation to answer them. The notion that it's Robert's Rules of Order that's preventing your strong moderation from taking over this citizens' attempt at mayhem at your BOS meetings is nonsense. I've never been to a meeting, and I've been to a lot of BOS meetings, citizens, and I've never seen a citizen break out into any kind of threatening manners. And to shut the citizens down with that notion, I believe, is false. My message is simple and my promise is clear. I'll listen. When you call, I will answer. and I will relentlessly pursue every citizen need and desire that suits the greater whole. I'm your guy, and I'd like your vote, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Redmond. Now, a 2-minute closing, Damon Jesperson.
Thank you, Richard, for hosting this meeting, and for Susan, all the IT support in these challenging times, and for all the residents for paying attention when there are so many other things to worry about. I want to thank you again for giving me the opportunity to serve. I want to correct Jack in a number of ways, but we don't have time, so I wish he would stop trying to put words into my mouth. Over the past 6 years, we have accomplished a great deal. The town is on incredible financial footing, and we've moved forward with projects that previous administrations have kicked the can down the road for over a decade. We've accomplished a lot, and I stand by my record. We have gotten things done. We've gotten things done for the people at their request. We listen, we communicate, we're moving things forward. We have a lot of projects coming up and a lot of transition coming up. I think it's imperative that we continue in the direction that the citizens have laid out for us and that we have started to execute for them. I appreciate the opportunity to serve, and I hope everyone will participate in our democracy and vote on June 16th. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And Geraldine Heavey, a 2-minute closing.
Okay, thank you. Unmute, okay. Hi, I'd like to thank once again Richard Lodge for stepping in to act as a neutral and impartial moderator in this debate. Unlike my two incumbent opponents, I wasn't born in Newbury. I moved here 9 years ago, but this is actually a strength and not a weakness, because I bring with me a very diverse background and a fresh perspective, which more than qualifies me for the Board of Selectmen. I'm an attorney, but I'm retired, so I'll never have to excuse myself from a board discussion or a vote because of a conflict or a personal conflict of interest. I will vote the issues based upon my experience and what's best for the town. I started my practice of law 28 years ago as an assistant district attorney right here in Essex County. I've also been a supervising attorney in the public defender's office in Roxbury. I was also a trust officer for the Shawmut Bank. For 14 years, I served on the Melrose Board of Aldermen, as well as its president and chairman of the Appropriation Committee. So I have a lot of municipal experience. My education is extensive. I have a BA from UMass, a master's degree from Northeastern University. My law degree is from New England Law, Boston, and I have a certificate of municipal policy from Harvard's Kennedy School of Government. My background has given me extensive experience in dealing with citizens in open meetings which engaged in civil dialogues, even when the issues were highly contested. It's time to put our big boy pants on and allow the people their right to address the issues that they have with the town. I'd like to help bring this community together, to respectfully listen to each other and work together to deal with these issues. So thank you to the viewers for joining us, and I ask them for one of your two votes. Make your vote be one for respect, transparency, and dignity on the Board of Selectmen. Check me out by going online to jerryfortnewbury.org. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And finally, J.R. Colby, a 2-minute closing.
I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I think in this election, most people already know who they're voting for. I just want to leave with some thanks. Elections are always uncertain. I want to thank all the board members I've worked with: Jeff Walker, Alicia Greco, Chuck Baird, Damon Jesperson. Super people. Hope I get to work with you more in the future. And I just want to tell people, I grew up in this town with my hands and feet in the dirt. Everything I have, I've used my back to get. My family and my upbringing has taught me right from wrong. Don't elect a selectman based on who you think can get you special favors or who you think it'd be fun to hang out with. Elect a selectman that does the job the way you would want it done for you. And I am telling you that I'm that guy. And doing the job right isn't always popular. It isn't always easy, but I will do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that's the end of this forum. I want to remind everybody there are 5 candidates for selectmen this year. J.R. Colby, Damon Jesperson, Chuck Bear, who couldn't be here tonight, Geraldine Heavey, and Jack Rybicki. They'll be on the ballot. And for you folks voting in Newbury, the town election, which was May 12th, is actually now Tuesday, June 16th. That's the town election. And polling hours are noon to 6 p.m. And one other, I'll put in a plug here because we're doing this again tomorrow night, starting at 6:30. We're going to have an opportunity for all of the other candidates in the election, whether they're opposed or not. And we actually, I think, have at least one write-in candidate who's asked to have a few minutes. So I'm going to be the moderator, but again, I'm going to give them each 3 minutes to say who they are, why they're running, some of their background, just so the voters can get an idea of who's out there. It's, as Geraldine Heavey pointed out tonight, it's very hard to campaign when there's a pandemic and people are trying to stay safe and trying to go by the rules of health and common sense. So I'm glad we could do this tonight, and we're doing another one tomorrow night at 6:30. So I thank you all, and thanks again to Susan and to Ethan, and hope you all have a good evening and stay safe. Thank you.